Hey everybody, TBC here. Kunark has finally landed on Oakwynd. No longer are we stuck in Lower Gok and Solby. There's a whole new continent to explore out there. And this video is just a lovely little video. I show you exactly what I did at launch and all the way through those first few levels between 50 and 55 in Kunark. Now, before we go into the video, just wanted to give a shout out to our channel members. Thank you so much for your support. It's very much appreciated, and it really does help me continue making content about this game that I'm so passionate about. So thank you very much. Anybody else, if you want to become a member, the button's down below. Also, really appreciate anyone who can like and subscribe to the channel. Again, it really helps me grow. It's very appreciated, and we're getting so close now to having 1,000 subs, which is crazy to think about. So thank you if you go ahead and do that. But without further ado, let's get right on into the video. Kunark launch. Everyone huddled around on the docks waiting for the translocator to spawn. So there's a few ways you can get to Kunark right at launch. You can either come to the dock like I have. The spell vendor in Freeport will pop, and you can use that to buy the spells that will port you straight to Skyfire and Emerald Jungle. Or the other ways you can do it as well, like the Field of Bone potion that you can make in Kunark and have it ready to click. They'll instant port you to the Field of Bone. That's a particularly good one. And of course you could always race change to Ixat and Origin to go straight to Herbalist. So this is actually probably the slowest way to do it, because the script's got to run, the translocator's got to spawn, and then you've got to try and hail it. Now, as you can see, there's a couple of hundred people all huddled around here on the dock right now, and everyone's kind of spamming hail as soon as that translocator pops. And the translocator can only cast so many spells per second, so you'll see what happens when we get live. But as you can see right now, the script hasn't started because the boats haven't spawned. And when it's running, I think they're usually one of the first to appear. Also, you'll get the yellow text as well to say that the expansion's been unlocked. But obviously, as you can see, everyone is absolutely spamming say already, trying to save Verona V and or Timorous Deep from Butcher Block rather. And there's no translocator, so we have to wait for the script to run for the yellow text before we can go. And it's a blink twice and you'll miss it. There's the yellow text to say that Kunark is launched. So if you've got the portion, you can port already right now and get there quick. Sadly for me, I have to wait, and as you can see, that says going absolutely crazy. People are spamming it like crazy already, and the translocator's not even up. And I'm spamming as well because I want to get to Kunark, but we know the script's still running. It takes a few minutes. There's the boat. See, the boats just magically appeared just like that. So we know the script is running and things are gonna happen very soon, and gives people the opportunity to kind of spread out just a little bit. Of course, the boats, yeah, they don't work. So I didn't have a group lined up for launch at all. Normally, I would do that straight at server launch or expansion launch. You got a group, you go run, you get your camp, and you start leveling straight away. I didn't do that this time. My group was purely in the evenings, which just worked out better for me. Kind of this time around in Kunark, take things a little bit lightly, but I wanted to get on at launch to get it for you guys, but also to have a little bit of a play myself. So what I decided to do was to go to Verona V and buy my spells, and yeah, I could get them elsewhere, but I just wanted to get the spells from Verona V. Everything's fairly close knit, and then I decided to take my boxes and see what I could do. Now, if everybody knows me in boxes, I'm not a good boxer. I admit that. I've never been a good boxer. I don't know, I've always just found it really hard. I don't dislike it, but I'm not boxing all the time. I'd rather group with people than my boxes. But I wanted to see what I can do. So I wanted to go get the spells, get the port spell, especially for Skyfire, and then I was going to see if I could make anything happen in Chardock. But I've been spamming now for like a minute or two, and you know, she's not taken my request yet because she's just, you know, if you're spamming, they can only cast so many. And there you go, finally I managed to get one and get a port from the translocator, which will drop me off straight into Timorous Deep. So the first boss of Kunark has been beaten, and the second boss is, well, it's the second translocator over here in Timorous Deep. So here I am now with a few other people all streaming in, and of course you got to be spamming if you want to get those quick ports. There's no way you could even try and click the quest text to go, which is honestly how I would normally do it on a given day, going to any other translocator. But this one's probably a bit easier. I decided to clean up my macro a little bit and get rid of the Timorous Deep. Don't need that anymore, I'm already in it, and there we go, I get my pot. And we come to Verona V, and I've always liked this little outpost. It's got that kind of a new outpost still under construction because the content's only just been revealed kind of a thing. And yeah, I know Warcraft did that in kind of later expansions where you do the little beachhead, and as you progress through that first zone, the town or like the encampment garrison gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Certainly they did it in Wrath of the Lich King. I remember that very vividly, and I suppose it was kind of like a bit of a prelude to that, but of course we never really saw anything change here. Everything just stayed the same, stuck in time here on Kunark, and yeah, it's a fun little zone. So I'm gonna head around, get my spells, and then see if I can go back to Greater Fadar, get my boxes, and head on down to Chardock. So about 30 minutes after server launch, I'm finally ready to see what I can make happen in Chardock. And like I said, I'm a really bad boxer. I'm not a fan of it, really. I'm not against it, but I'm not really for it. I'll do it, but you know, like I said, it's not the be all and end all for me. And here we go, gonna kill our first mob in Chardock, just a stupid Chocodile whelp. Now, just wanted to get one kill in, that way I could straight away ding to 51 because I'd left my character like 99.998% of the way into 50. So this Chocodile going down, boom, there it is, the first level in Kunark of the very first mob I kill, and I am at level 51. And I thought, oh, I'm being brave, I'm going to go down and see what else I can get. And if anybody knows Chardock, these opening mobs, you can just skip them. They go crazy like that, and if you're just running down to jump off the bridge, you can ignore them, they'll never follow you down, they can't, they'll just path backwards and forwards for a little bit, and as soon as you move a little bit further down, they drop off and reset. So a little tip there for anyone coming down to Chardock. And one of my favourite camps really to come to in Chardock is Bank. A lot of people rush bridge because they want to get their monk pipe, right? I'm not a huge fan of it. You get a lot of respawns in the camp, and unless you've got a really solid group with like 2 or 3 charm pets, you ain't pulling Coracles through them. You'll be keeping up with what you have, and like I said, for boxing, things can go wrong there really quickly if you're not keeping up with your respawns and if you start overextending. But I'm just going to now slowly kill my way down through some of these Sanacs. And I always like coming to Chardock. I much prefer it over Seblis. Seblis really isn't a leveling zone in my opinion. Maybe early on, but it will not take you very far. I find it slower as well than coming to Chardock to kill. So as you can see, I'm killing down. Lots of group chat, because I always like, when I'm looking at my main screen, I like to make sure like the casts have gone off and the pets are going in. So I have them macroed to put a message into the group say as well, so I know that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, because yeah, my boxes sometimes don't. They like to do their own thing and get stuck, get lost, or just run off, or just completely ignore me. So I get down to the bank area and I kind of forgot about this slippy area, and yeah, that's not good for boxing because they're going off and yeah, they just aggroed everything. I was not prepared. I was rushing. I didn't have my macros ready to go, and very quickly I'm losing characters. So yeah, I am going to go ahead and maybe evac this and chalk this up to experience that yeah, this was not the time for me to come to bank with my boxes anyway. And there's another group here, and you know what, I'm someone who's not really going to try and fight for the camp or battle people. You know, I yelled this off. I've lost a couple of characters, no big deal, but I'm probably just going to go ahead, evac, and find somewhere else. First fail of the expansion due to my terrible boxing. No surprise there. And because I wasn't really going for hardcore kind of XP with this group, because you know, I was grouping with 5 other real people in the evening, and I obviously I didn't want to get too far ahead of them anyway, because no fun in that. So I just thought, you know what, I'll just chill out a little bit and just do the entrance. My boxes are lower than me anyway, so that made sense to me. So I came to the little entrance, and this time I'm going to take things slower. I'm not going to rush, and I am going to be throwing out some pacifies in order to save me from those kind of multiple spawns. Because the only thing I've actually really done with this box crew, other than kind of like level them, was just take them up to the plane of hay, really, to farm armor and gems. And even then I wasn't doing kind of a lot of it, just to get some gems to sell to, you know, make a couple of chrono, no big deal. So I didn't want to go too hard at all. I just wanted some nice, chilled, easy experience at the entrance. And all was going well. I was killing a lot of these like lower level Sarnax, but yeah, no real problems whatsoever, until someone decided, you know what, I want the entrance and I'm going to muscle in on your camp for no particular reason. And you know what, fine, absolutely, you know, there are no camps on the TLP, there's nothing you can really do about it. It's the first to engage, and I've learned, you know, in these situations just to, you know, just do my own thing, don't engage with them, and just kind of carry on. And I find these things often resolve themselves, and sure enough it did, because they overpulled and ended up having to zone, and I got the camp back again. Like I said, I didn't stay for very much longer anyway, because I was wanting to not get too far ahead for my group mates in the evening. So the evening rolls around, and I have grouped up with the group mates, 5 other real players. Upwar the warrior, we had Yipe the enchanter, Kanzaki the cleric, Mafazar the shaman, and Calamity, of course, the wizard of the group, and myself the ranger. And I could have been anybody else in this group. It's everybody else is pulling away, I'm just the ranger doing the below average DPS probably. But you know what, we had a pretty solid group, and I wanted revenge on Bank after my earlier failed attempt earlier. And I really like this camp because you've got a couple of names inside. No one really bothers you down here. It's not as popular as Bridge Camp, and not as many people come to it really, and there's plenty of mobs you can pull. You got all the mobs on the outside, you've got the mobs inside the bank as well. Your drill master who wanders around, the auditor and the foreman are all very quick, easy pulls. And of course you have the mobs on the other side of the door that head towards Herb. And if you're feeling especially brave, you've got a really good group, you can pull through the waterfall from Herb and the kind of off-duty merchant area as well. So yeah, really good. We're going to really be cranking out some levels, got a pot going, and this is going to be hopefully my group almost all the way through to a level 60, all being well. Now I decided to use a really stupid ranger weapon that I was able to loot. That was 2-hand slashing, mainly because I haven't upgrading my 2-hand slashing, so I wanted to do that. Otherwise I'm just using my my loot that I had from the raids in Classic, and this is one of the very first names that we saw, the Chardock Collective Auditor. Now, what's special about loot in Kunark on Oakwynd is we have a chance for bonus loot, 125% bonus loot, and we were starting to see some really crazy kind of stuff coming from that. Whether it was mobs dropping 2 items when they would normally drop 1, and kind of like things like that. So we saw that happen multiple times where the like XR hide cap later on would drop, drop 2 of them, or the cloak, which is I suppose the better option. And there you go, you'll see we're starting to get some loot as well, which is good. And some people say to me, oh TBC, why didn't you go to the hole first? It's better. And you're right, it is actually better early on, especially at the undead camp between 50 and 50, I think 54. You'll get 54 really quick there compared to in Kunark zones, because the mobs are just that much easier than these ones in Kunark. But I think unless you're really there before the expansion launches and you're keeping it down, you've got no chance at that camp on kind of day one. And I wanted to experience something I guess new for another year and come to one of the zones I like to spend a lot of time in, although it's very brown, and that is Chardock. Yeah, they could have done with a bit more colour when they designed this, because it all just kind of washes away behind itself, kind of a thing, with the ground brown, the water brown, the buildings brown, with a little bit of grey. It can be very samey, but it's a really fun zone with some really good looting. And we're going to be here at this camp kind of all night, killing all these mobs, which are like red cons, which are a lot of fun, which is what you want to be killing. We get an absolute really good XP from these mobs, and we are gonna be leveling up a good few times tonight, I hope. Again, here we are, we're killing Foreman a little bit later. Another good name to kill. Lots of names in this area. Foreman is just another one, and I must remember to snare him. And there you see we get the double loot. We got the prayer beads, but we got 2 of them, and that's what you're going to get on Oakwynd. Is sometimes they will drop 2 of the same item. It rolls a dice, and I guess if it's 25% chance or under, you're going to get that second one. Otherwise you're not, you're just going to get the one. But that's really nice to see early on, just that little bit of extra loot. So that's the huge difference with Oakwynd compared to previous servers, maybe except Mischief, that we're getting this bonus loot kind of really early, straight on, and it's a lot of fun. Except when we went to the Herbalist and the wizened herb dude dropped 2 sandwiches. Yeah, I probably could have stuck with that one. But as ever with Everquest, once you've been at the same camp for 3-4 hours, it can be really easy for kind of some complacency to kind of set in a little bit, because you're just kind of going through the motions, just killing. Nothing's really kind of challenging you, and it's very easy to do like an overpull in that situation, or forget to cast a snare and something runs off, and kind of that's kind of what happened to our group here, and we ended up having to evac. But timing wise, we'd done like 5 hours at bank or something like that, and all the mobs were starting to really turn blue, so not a bad time to kind of reset, take stock, take a couple of minutes and find a better camp. And it's one of those things with Chardock actually that I really enjoy. If you're going to one of these deeper camps, often you've got to clear down, and that can take 15-20 minutes if you're clearing through, but it's all XP. People don't realise that's XP, and it's decent XP as well. And yeah, some of these are low levels, but you're going to kill them fast, and we're just going to work our way. We decided to head down to the Herbalist camp, and a little while later we make it down back to the Herbalist hut. A nice little camp, especially if you have a shaman for the alchemy drops that drop here, because they drop like crazy from the Herbalist and the root diggers. But and there's a couple of named as well that also drop here, especially for necromancers, because it's where the herb drops for their epic. So you will often see people down here waiting for that to drop. So we put in about another 2 hours at the Herbalist, and it was difficult at first because we were maybe a little bit underleveled for it straight away, but once we got our kind of groove together, a decent charm pet, we were absolutely fine. And I got myself a couple of upgrades as well. That it's crazy, this group loot is better than the raid loot in Classic. I got the Backstabber, which is one of the weaker ones, but it still was an upgrade, even from what I had from the raids in Classic. And here we are, we fighting the Grand Herbalist, and he has a parrying blade, which is a nice offhand, especially for someone like myself, a ranger. And I am gonna get it, and I'm gonna be quite happy with that to get rid of my second dagger and get back to swords. Because obviously no epic yet. The first priority for me on Kunark is always get that level 60 first, and then you can start getting your epic done, getting your Vishan's Peak key done, getting your Howling Stones key done, and then I will look at any kind of boxes maybe that I want to level. Not a huge fan of leveling boxes in Kunark. I typically always like to wait till Velius when you got Velks opens up, and it's just that much faster in that zone as well. But yeah, there's the sword that I get, a nice little sword to have at the offhand right now, at least until I get my epic done, or the drop from Kennels later, if I ever see that. Who knows. So we keep killing the Herbalist, and as you get faster in this game, you're pulling more mobs, and we're starting to pull out from over under, and we're level 53, so we're in a really good spot. We're probably killing mobs that we probably shouldn't be, maybe a little low for, because over under is one of the better camps in Chardock for XP. And you see we killed the Grand Herbalist there, and he dropped 2 sandwiches. Normally he only ever drops 1, and he dropped 2 spells. We got so that's like the bonus loot that we're seeing on this server. Again, it's just a little bit better, you get a little bit more for bang for your buck from this, and I really like that. It's a little bit of a cool addition. Again, Daybreak should have socialized more as being one of the better features of this server, rather than letting FTE kind of rule the conversation pre-launch, which turned out to be, in the grand scheme of things, absolutely fine. But we stayed here now until for the rest of our evening, and we finished at level 53, a good way through level 53, and a very good night 1 of the server. So there we have it. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching the video. More content coming very, very soon to you. The rest of my leveling journey to 60, as well as other content and zone guides for Kunark. There's so many fun zones here, and even outside of the 2 I've already done, like Herbalist and Chardock. I really like down here. Howling Stones is a fantastic zone. The Keans of Pain, but it's such a fun zone to run around in, and even crazy ones like Kazor, where people don't really go to other than Zalgossen for the VP key. So you're going to have a lot of content coming to you soon, as well as my thoughts on Kunark when we get into raiding in about a couple of days time. So thank you again so much. I am the Brit Canuck, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.